A few heart references in the Odyssey by Homer, pages 361 through 420, 2025 U Chicago Press Edition. Today is Monday, 8 June 2026 AD, and here I, Tanis, she, her, hers of Seattle, decided to continue on with my heart references. Got potentially one more chunk left. Okay, so inspired by my cardiology self-experimentation, here I, Tanis, she, her, hers of Seattle, talk through a few heart references in the Odyssey by Homer, pages 361 through 420. Initial text by Homer, approximately 8th century BC. Specific book/edition of the Odyssey by Homer, translated by Daniel Mendelsohn. That's the name down here. 2025, the University of Chicago Press Edition, hardcover, ISBN in the video description. I read pages 361 through 377, Sunday, 7 June, yesterday. And then pages 371 through 420, Monday, 8 June, today, 2026 AD for each of those. These are part of my notes from reading the Odyssey by Homer for the second time. So I watched out for heart stuffs invoking the art of war and the Iliad style/approach. When I go quote, and then end quote or unquote, that refers to text in the book, in the work, and translated and now in book form. The rest is me. All right, page 361. Quote: whenever you're, sorry, it was you and you, as in the text. Okay, page 361. Quote: whenever you hearts bid you, end quote, internal pacing. Page 361, 401, quote, eaten and drunk to their heart's content, end quote, or variant, food and or beverage satisfied. Page 362, quote, an even greater concern that some power has put in my heart, end quote, or similar, such as, quote, some gods put it into your heart, end quote. A divine reminder. Oh, that came up later. I don't think I had to put the page number, but there was a reference. Okay. I'm doing the best I can for the time and conditions and my assessment. Page 365, quote, lest you fill up my heart even more pain as you force me to remember them, end quote, heart memory linkage. Page 366, quote, melting my heart away, end quote, agony. Page 366, quote, straight away their stalwart hearts were convinced, end quote, abruptly swayed. Page 367, quote, great-hearted, end quote, people's descriptor, like tribes, kind of people's descriptor. Page 368, quote, as much as their hearts could desire, end quote, perhaps a healthy heart has a built-in natural limit. Page 369, 379, 388, 399, 418, quote, take it to heart, end quote, or variant or similar, such as, quote, entered into your heart, end quote, let in. Page 370, quote, honored him in their hearts above all other men, end quote, ranking function. Page 371, quote, thought in my heart is this, end quote, thought retrieval. Page 371, quote, chooses to be hurtful and troubles his heart, end quote, unintended consequence, perhaps. Page 372, quote, whose heart had endured as much as I myself have endured, end quote. The wife of Odysseus is frustrated that he has not returned from her perspective. However, it is Odysseus speaking, and she cannot recognize him. Here he pairs her heart and his experience in terms of enduring. Page 372, 381, 384, 402, 403, 413. Quote, deep wisdom in her heart, end quote, or similar, such as, quote, planning evil, end quote. I think those are similar, wisdom and planning evil. Low in heart location. Okay. Page 373, quote, God-fearing heart, end quote, mortal heart descriptor. Page 372, quote, nor did their hearts lack for one bit of the meal they shared, end quote, heart satisfied by food/beverage. Page 376, quote, both joy and pain took hold of her heart, end quote, doubly occupied state, same take as in 2011. Have progress in the sense I have found my heart can process more than two at once. Page 376, 387, 389, 395, 2 times, 399, 400, 401, quote, proud-hearted, end quote, male's descriptor, like male's descriptor, S in parentheses. Page 377, quote, careworn heart, end quote, tired of tedious executed in love. So like of things executed tediously in the for love or something. Okay, that's my take. Page 377, quote, heart hover back and forth, torn in two, end quote. Heart has two parts. Page 378, quote, warms my heart, end quote, refers to something seen. Page 371, 397, 398, 399, quote, his spirit and heart on edge, end quote, or similar. Heart, spirituality, synchronization. Page 381, quote, heart within him was snarling, end quote, biting at the bit. Page 381, quote, struck himself on the chest and reproached his heart with these words, end quote, self-inflicted physicality in words used for calming heart state. Page 381, quote, you must stand fast, my heart, end quote, and, quote, his words assailing the heart within his breast, end quote, and, quote, and that heart obedient kept on standing fast, end quote. Words to heart and heart response. His heart listened to him. Big deal. So again, these are my takes. My notes. Page 382, quote, heart within my breast is on edge, end quote, alert heart state. Page 382, quote, dissolving his hearts, end quote, not heart that dissolves. 383, page 383, quote, sated her heart with all her weeping, end quote, letting it out helped. Page 383, quote, hearts throbbing with grief, end quote, is that me in the future over/for my dead mama Gillespie, died in childbirth, me her first and only child, she who I got my 1/4 Greco-Roman from. So Homer, the guy, this is Greece. The guy's Greek or Greco-Roman, the Greco part, and then this is Greece. Okay. It doesn't make mention of Egypt. Right? Greece and Egypt aren't too far apart. Okay. Page 383, 390, 396, quote, my heart rejoiced, end quote. Not necessarily in this passage, though, the Egypt part. Okay, so page 383, 390, 396, quote, my heart rejoiced, end quote, or similar, heart happy. Page 387, 395, 396, quote, heart within his breast, end quote, or similar, heart location reference. Page 389, quote, heart, end quote, some other stuff, and quote, steep, end quote, heart tea treatment. Page 389, quote, hard-hearted, end quote, male descriptor. Page 390, quote, hearts of them both, as long as the hearts in your breast, end quote, plurality varied. Page 391, quote, hearts foresaw, end quote, forwards. Page 395, quote, heart that already lies mired, end quote, heart taken, lady taken. Page 397, 2 times, quote, hope within all his heart, end quote, so similar, or similar, sorry, hope heart linkage. Page 390, 40, nope. Page 399, 401, quote, my heart bids me speak, end quote, or similar, self-heart compulsion. Page 400, quote, lordly heart, end quote, male descriptor. Page 401, quote, heart of honey, end quote, honey trap. Page 402, quote, great-hearted, end quote, male descriptor. Page 402, quote, set his heart, end quote, fix course. Page 402, quote, not trouble your hearts, end quote, rest heart. Page 403, quote, wherever his heart desires, end quote, destination want. Page 405, quote, exulted then in his heart, end quote, moment of action. Page 409, quote, heart is softened, end quote, appropriately addressed. Page 409, quote, hearts dissolved, end quote, not physically at a whole heart scale. Page 409, that's not my take on that, based on the rest of the text. The people don't die, so the heart didn't actually like dissolve like in like acid or something. Okay. Page 409, quote, anguish in his heart, end quote, heart fuel. Page 411, quote, heart within him went slack, end quote, situational awareness. Page 419, quote, rejoice in your heart, end quote, direction. Page 419, quote, wicked or good at heart, end quote, heart could be rotten or not. All right. And then Josh Kerr take. So my soulmate, my Josh Kerr. So from his perspective, and then I have a reply. So a Josh Kerr take. You living in the living room, I shall treat the house as a fort. We go to the movies for practice. Am I defending you? Do you go 3, 4, 5 ? Movie theaters this year and 2 full opening sequences, or 3 theaters each with an opening sequence? How is our Las Vegas being planned for? As for living, Papa Gillespie can bunk with me in my room, though we each get our own desk. Me, Tanis, she, her, hers of Seattle. You and Jacob Elordi can share a bed in the living room. Not a single bed. He is 6 feet 5 inches tall. My reply. Cobb, squirrel god of heft, with Kerr and Papa Gillespie. Candace the chicory and Craig the western gray squirrel with Elordi and baby Gillespie. Me, Tanis, she, her, hers of Seattle. Kona is messenger between the rooms. My Josh Kerr doth proclaim it a goat sausage fest. Yeah, goat sausage fest.